Hi. When you use the affordability planner with your families, be sure to emphasize that this is a tool to help them compare potential college costs based on the typical data and that their results may be different, just to protect yourself and to make it clear what this tool is for. So the way to use it, there are instructions here, and you can go to that link and read those instructions. So it looks like this, but I'm going to go over what you need to do. So step one, ask your families to fill out the student aid index calculator. This link here will give you the federal methodology. So once they complete that, they will get the number that can go in this space here. So let's say their EFC or SAI is $50,000. The institutional methodology at this time, the link is not calculating that. If you are able to calculate that for them, then you can add a number here, or you can leave it blank. I will show you what happens both ways. What I would recommend is possibly just putting in the same number as the FM, but let them know that the calculations may be different on the college's side. So over here, you will enter the state that the student lives in. The parent will enter that. And then you start entering your colleges. So I'm just going to go through and add some colleges. The colleges that are included are colleges that we have financial aid information from the common data set. If that information, or if the college is not on here, you will not see that information. So I want to show you what another alternative to get that. So once you enter the colleges, the states will show up, the year that the common data set was pulled, so the most recent year, will update. So some of these have the most current year, 24-25. Whether the school is public or private will show up here. And then the cost of attendance, which is based on their state residency. So I put that this person is in Texas. So for Texas A&M, you get the in-state tuition and costs. Private schools obviously doesn't matter. So let me show you, if I were to change that, then this cost will change to the out-of-state fees. So it is listed whether it is public or private, so that there is a disclaimer and a caution for your families that public schools don't typically meet demonstrated needs. So sometimes the numbers are misleading. So they should take that with a grain of salt and understand that. So you have the cost of attendance. So that's full cost of attendance, including tuition and fees, room and board for on-campus housing. The second section here is going to be comparing costs based on demonstrated need. So this is going to pull the percent of need met, the methodology that's used, so you know that if it's institutional methodology, that maybe you need to be cautious if you don't have that number. And then their demonstrated needs. So basically, it's going to be the cost of attendance minus their student aid index. And so that shows you the projected financial aid based on their need. So for example, 91% of need. So that's going to be the 11,000. So that calculation is done here. This college, Amherst College, meets 100% of need. So that would meet their full need. So that's what this section does. And then it gives them their projected cost based on need. So it's, based on the percent of need met and the possible financial aid. So you can compare that with those numbers. The next section is going to compare merit aid only. So potential costs, assuming that the family has no demonstrated need and qualifies for average merit aid. So it just shows first the percentage of students at that school. So it's the percentage of all first year students that have no demonstrated need that receive merit aid. So for Austin College, that was 24%. And then the average aid they get the first year. So what is the potential cost? Basically, we're just subtracting out the average merit award and you get that cost. So when you get a school like Amherst, if they have no financial need, then they're paying the full cost of attendance. Okay, next section, net price calculator, super important. Have your families go, let them know, these numbers are just averages, but if you go to the net price calculator, hopefully they will get more accurate information based on their situation. So you can encourage your family to go. The links are included right here so they can go to the net price calculator and enter their results. Then we get into inflation. So they can look at these numbers and see based on an inflation rate of 4%, then what each college will cost. So year one assumes that it might even be 2 years from the 2023-24 data. So this is the most recent data. So they're going to start off possibly at a higher rate than the typical, or the calculated cost of attendance here. This is pulled from iPads. So you have the inflation rate and then loan calculator rate. So if you're going to pay, or if the family is going to pay, take out loans, they can see how much their payments are going to be. So the way this section works, you've got the need-based cost of attendance. So that is pulled from above. And then the loan is calculated based on that. So in other words, if they took out a loan for their full, student aid index or the full cost of attendance based on need, then, so if you look at Amherst, that would be $50,000. Austin College, there's an amount here. So if the family says, no, I'm not going to take out the full 51,000, I'm just going to take out 10,000, this number here will override the calculation. So I'll show you how that works. So Amherst would be for 50,636. That's for 1 year. For all 4 years, their loan payment would be $2,542. So sometimes seeing those numbers can be eye-opening. So if Amherst, if this family says, no, I'll take out 20,000 for Amherst, you add that and you see that the numbers change. So Austin College, if you delete that, the numbers change. So this formula is dependent on whether or not the family enters their expected loan amount. Last section is just kind of a checklist on what is required. You have a link to the financial aid office, FAFSA required for all schools, so that will always be yes. And then the CSS profile, if they require that, it will show up as a yes, and then additional forms, yes or no, based on that. If the family is applying to a school and you check the drop down and you can't find the school there, then you can click on this little plus sign above the K. And this is where you can add additional colleges. So basically, if it's not listed here, then the common data set information has not been pulled and included in this spreadsheet for that college. So you can go to another source. So I've got collegedata.com here and instructions here on how to find that information. And then, so I use Texas State as an example. You can add that college, and if it comes from iPads, you're still going to get the cost of attendance. And the state, public, private. So you still have that information, but you may not have the percent of need met and the merit-based gifts. So I've highlighted those in yellow. You can go to collegedata.com .com or Jeff and Jenny's sheets, wherever you can find the data or actually you can go directly to the common data set and pull this information that comes from section H. So this here, the percent of need met, let's say it's 50, then the numbers will populate. So merit aid gift, let's say 25%, get $1,000 each, then, and I'm just making these numbers up, then the numbers will populate. So everything else shows up, but you have to enter the merit-based and need-based data from an external source. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am not a financial aid expert, so digging into the numbers and typical expenses, I would highly encourage you to reach out to a financial aid expert and get that information, but I can certainly help you with the spreadsheet and how to use it.